doing, let's actually do some Tai Chi. Allow your feet to touch and bring your head top up to the highest point. So extending. And then relax your shoulders. Relax your tailbone. And so we want to have the posture as vertical as possible. When you bring your hands together in the center, they come to about shoulder level. The elbows lower so that they have relaxation. We don't want to have them straight. And unlike a vinyasa style yoga, we're not reaching all the way up here. It's almost as if, like your arms fell asleep, and by moving the center, just by shifting the dantian forwards and backwards on the strong base, we activate the feet. And we can bring the hands to their resting point. So we want to use as little power as possible, breathing to bring the hands to the center, and then resting. So for new people practicing that haven't studied this before, the name for this posture is He Tai Chi. It's Tai Chi in harmony. And whether you're new or whether you have experience studying with me before, this posture is sort of the yin balancing point for the yang activity of the form. This one posture can contain all of the principles that we can use for the rest of the form. So my teacher added this posture to the beginning of his teacher's form, and we practice it as a sort of calibration, as a way of checking the body before we practice Tai Chi. So I like to start at the top, like acupuncture theory, moving downwards through the body, starting at the crown chakra. Imagine that you can push your head top all the way up higher without changing your feet, without changing your hips, and without changing your shoulders. So keep working. And then with the power going up from the head top, relax the brow, relax your eyebrows, your forehead. Relax your vision, open your eyes slightly wider. Relax your cheeks and your jaw. Open your nostrils. And in this Tai Chi style, we say a half smile is the minimum. So activate the corners of the mouth. It may feel like you're activating the corners of the nose, the corners of the mouth, and you may feel these side panels of the cheek also open. If you do it right, you'll feel your sinuses open as well. And then line up your ears with your shoulders. So if the head is a moving object, we want to move it up and back so that the neck is straight. Relax your shoulders. They should be rolled back, and they can feel as if they're expanding to the sides. For people opening their shoulders, really relaxing your shoulders may actually feel painful because the tissue there is so tense, is so tight. The chest is hollow. This means that we're not pushing forward with the chest this way. Instead, it sits in the right space. With me wearing black, it may be difficult to see in this lighting. Use your center to support. Relax your tailbone and expand the lower back so that the whole thing is open. And then we're controlling the base of the torso. We're lifting the abdominal floor, closing the base of the abs this way so that the lines with the legs and the torso folding, falling inwards. Keep working, keep breathing. And then moving downwards. The knees have a bend in them. That's all I talk about. They're just not straight. We forget about your knees. And then the ankles are powerful. Feel like you have, like if you put your mind inside your ankles, you can actually flex your ankle. This creates a sort of turning activity. So adding just enough, only the right amount to increase the shape of the ankle without worrying too much about, we call it in the Mandarin palm, make the ankles expand. And then feel your feet on the ground. Feel all the heels touching the corners of the front of each foot, the outside edge. And then with the bottom of your foot connected to the ground. Activate your foot as if you're pulling up to make it more triangular, like a triangle shape that goes from your toes to your heels up to the center point of your ankle, and make that triangle as tall as you can while keeping your legs relaxed. Internally, the tongue is connected to the upper palate. When we're breathing, we're lifting the base of the torso. The tailbone is pointing towards the toes, and we have the feet activated like almost a suction cup that's drawing energy up from the base. And then relax. So if you have all of those ideas, all those Tai Chi ideas, and you can apply them all the time, you can apply them all at once. You can do one activity, which is Tai Chi activity. So it's a type of expansion with relaxation. Also, if you see my feet, my camera has sort of a wider angle. Right now, my feet are parallel. So if they look like here, it looks like they're a little bit out, but they're lined up. So you should know, especially people that have been practicing with me for some time, when we're practicing, we keep the feet parallel almost all the time. There may be times when we're making some space that we move the foot to change to another posture. And then when we change, that same foot lines back up, whether from the heel or whether from the toe, we put it back onto the grip. Let's breathe. So without even thinking about warming up, activate your toes, breathing, inflate, stretch all the way. So have the same feeling when you wake up in the morning and you stretch and you have the energy. The same thing out to the sides. Push at least the heel of the palm out, but you can reach the fingertips all the way out as well. Go at your own pace. Everybody has different lungs, different mind. So we have two purposes while we practice this. The first one is a qigong, is to generate the energy. And then the second one is stretch, warming up. So while we're breathing, we can talk about Tai Chi Theory. So we just got done talking about Tai Chi principles. Those are all static Tai Chi principles, what we would refer to as yin properties, unchanging. The head top should have power all the time. If the crown chakra doesn't have power, there may be a problem with the entire system. But when we're moving, we have dynamic principles, dynamic properties. And one of them for Tai Chi is Chan Si in the Mandarin, is what's called silk reeling. So if you have here, when we're lifting, if you have your fingertips pointing towards each other, and then they're going to turn, the palms face towards you, they face downwards, they face out, and they face up. And then we keep them facing the same direction the whole time to here. So they face up, in, down, out, and up. There's the four directions it's going. Palm up, palm in, palm down, palm out, and then returning to up, but somehow up goes to down to up again. Either way, keep breathing, keep working. While you're doing this, I want you to focus on the rotation of the arm. This is, whether we're beginner or whether we're experienced, this rotation happens in every Tai Chi posture. So when we do ward off, this arm, both arms rolling. More important for one arm than the other. We can start to really narrow in on Tai Chi theory, and one practitioner will say one arm should have a dominant yang chansi, and the other one should have a slighter yin chansi. It should be present in both. We can argue that both. Someone may say they should be balanced. They're both turning the same when we ward off. Either way, we should know what chansi is, and then we can start to discuss the finer details of what's happening with it. So, always rolling the forearm in every posture in Tai Chi is always changing. In English, the two bones, the names are the radial and ulna, I think, or is it radius and ulna? Not certain. It's been many years since I've had to study names of the Latin names of things like the bones. Breathe deep. We're going to do 3 more of these. So take your time. Check to see that you still have a half smile. And then when you finish, bring your feet back to the center, and we're going to recalibrate. Bring your feet together. Bring your hands together. And then check all the points. Bring the head top up. Relax the face and brow. Keep the tongue connected to the upper palate. Half smile minimum. Shoulders rolled back and sunk. Center is supporting. Tailbone is hiding. Activating the feet. And so we said earlier, this one posture, see if you can make it just slightly straighter. When we're talking about self-improvement, sometimes if you've been practicing for a long time, to make a line slightly straighter requires adjustments of micro adjustments. And then relax. Let's warm up a little bit, and then we'll do some Tai Chi. So with this first one, we're turning the head top around its central axis. So I want you to make sure that you're not tilting the head forward, as if we have a stick, and it's just turning in this central way here. It doesn't lean forward, and there's no bend. So if you take your one hand and you reach across to your ear and reaching out to the side, mind the central axis, and then make it a stretch. Push up through the head top. If you pull on this ear a little bit, you'll find that you have to straighten your neck, and then make everything go into a line. So my thumb, my nose, and this elbow, and then stretch like you're reaching through your fingers, like you're pulling your elbow in the other direction, like you're expanding a bow. Push up through the back of the crown. Remember to breathe, and then when you're ready, relax. By the way, you can practice this on your own, at your own pace. If I'm taking too long on the side and you feel it's stretching or not enough, you can go on your own. So use a mirror, use your camera, make sure everything is lined up. Remember to breathe, the same long breathing we started with, and stretching out like you're reaching through your fingers through a glove or through a sleeve. And then breathe deep, relax. We're going to go one more on each side. You should feel like your forearms stretching. Go at your own pace. Breathe deep. And then change. You can time it with the breathing, but you don't have to. This is a stretch. Keep the neck straight, relax the tailbone, and then expanding. And then come back to the center. Next, we're going to do more head and neck. So lock your shoulders in place. You can feel how much movement they're doing if you put your hands there. And then turn your head and neck as much as you can. Keep it relaxed. And and feel as if you have power going to the head top. So as if I'm pushing up. So when I lean back, it's not just flopping back this way. Instead, I'm pushing power in the arc to keep a space so that it's not flopping. The same thing when I push to the side, I could just let it sit like a coconut in a sock, right? But instead, pushing, so like a snake or a giraffe, pushing up to the head top. And the same thing, I could just let my chin hit my chest and just let my head relax. But instead, I'm pushing through the back, up over the top of the head. If you haven't changed directions, already change directions. And remember to breathe. And then when you come back to the center, we're going to do some shoulder rolls. So make these as large as you can while maintaining your strong, straight center line. Check the breathing. And change directions. Do some going the other way. And again, make them as large as possible so we can change the structure a little bit, pushing the chest out to pull the shoulders back. For the warm-up, for the exercise, we can change the Tai Chi ideas just a bit. And then alternate, again, the same thing with your focus on the center line. Pull one side up and back, and the other side sinks. It may help you to get a larger stretch to keep your hand as if huko, tiger's mouth, or some part of your hand is connected from your dantian going up to the ribs and back this way. And if you leave your arm, instead of starting at the dantian, just where the hand sits naturally on the body, turning. So breathe deep. Do we change directions on these? Do some going the other way, whichever way we haven't done yet. Remember to breathe. The goal for this one is to open up the chest, the ribs, the sternum. Come back to the center. Part of aging is the sternum gets locked up. The sternum is made up of a bunch of ribs, and ribs are these small curved bones, and they're connected by these pieces of cartilage. And what happens is, over time, if we don't practice this kind of rib opening exercise, thinking of it like an accordion, opening and closing, and then also there's another kind of flexing that happens this way, that cartilage becomes packed tight, and the rib cage becomes solid like a barrel. You can experience this if you hug an old person whose thorax is all tight. So doing what we just did, the shoulder rolls, by feeling your collarbones, by feeling your shoulder blades, and by actively feeling that you can change the shape of your rib cage, you can keep all of that moving. So feel like the feeling, if we go forwards, is almost like shimmying through a tunnel. Or if you can imagine some type of, there's animals that crawl on their belly, not always a snake, but alligator, crocodile. They don't have this style in martial arts, but I did just learn there's some Chinese martial arts that has a crocodile movement, alligator movement. So the same thing, feel like the scales of your ribs can move when we do that. The same thing with this next one. When we turn around the center here, this is pretty much good for everything in the upper body. Keep your jawline facing forward and your hips also facing forward. And then anatomically, your center line if we're talking about the invisible geometric axis of your torso, keep working from the base of your torso through the top of your head, that center line sits in the front of your spine. So your spine is actually turning around your center. It seems like we're turning around the spine, but the spine is actually turning around the center slightly. So activate your feet and legs just the right amount. Push the head top up and keep the chin tucked. And then when the head top is up, you can relax the tailbone as if you're sitting while you're turning. So keep going, keep breathing. The idea is that we're expanding the spine this way while we're turning it, so that all the joints, all of the vertebrae can open, and there's a gentle rocking motion. And what we just got done talking about with the rib cage, you can use this exercise the same to open and wake up a stiff rib cage. There's other, later after we master Tai Chi, we can study some Bagua techniques that have a lot of joint opening stuff as well. Let's do some more of those type of swing hands exercise. We'll just do one more. It's the same, except now we're going to turn, when we spin, instead of just letting the hands float free, we're going to control one hand going up over the back, the other going to the side. So breathe. So the same thing, if you're advanced enough, if you have the understanding, keep your face going forward and mind where your center line is. So don't let your structure collapse as you move your shoulders and elbows. The same breathing that we started with. When you come back to the center, take a slightly wider stance. We're going to do some hip turns. So go at your own pace. Remember to breathe. Change directions on your own. And this is your workout, so where it feels like you need to stretch a little bit more, take the time. Breathing deep. We're going to fold forward just once. So activate your toes. Push your tailbone back and away. Relax your shoulders, your back, your spine, your neck, and your head, as if everything is hanging with gravity, very relaxed. Really release your head. See if you can have the crown chakra pointing towards the ground. By the way, directly downwards. Pull your tailbone closer to the ceiling, and then relax enough that you can feel the energy moving in your back, and your neck, and your head. When we stand up, we're all going to have a red face, so that's okay. Activate your toes, and then breathing deep, unroll your spine. Keep your lower body active, stretching all the way up, inflating all the way with the lungs, and then relax. And then for the last one, for the legs, we're going to do a little bit of stretching. So standing on one leg or the other, we're going to push the foot forward. It's shoulder width wide. And then you can use this leg to support or standing to balance, like you're pressing the gas pedal. So roll back as far as you can, and then push forward. Try to keep your hips level the whole time. And then on it, when you rock back, push your tailbone back and away. Reach forward, stretch the back of the leg. You can either push your chin towards your toes or push the top of your head towards your hand. One or the other. Remember to breathe deep, and then when you're ready, stand up. We're going to change to the other side. Take a deep breath while you're upright. Let everything reset. And then activate the standing foot, gripping the foot. We're going to balance, and then just like you're pressing the gas pedal. And then pushing the tailbone back and away. You can use this knee to support. Reach out over the toe. Point your toes towards the ceiling, and if you can curl them back towards your nose, toes to nose, that's fine. And then the same thing, either extending your jaw forward or extending your crown forward, one or the other. Breathing deep. Feel the stretch. And then when you're ready, activate your toes, stand upright. So, before we continue, does anyone have any questions, thoughts, comments on something that they've been doing? We're going to go and review some stuff from the beginning of the form. So for newer people and for new people, we have a new student joining us today. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning. For experienced people, it's always good to review the basics. So this is a time to go back and refine. This is also why, for those of you studying in Master Yun's advanced classes, why it seems like, this complex Bible form, it's easy to know the beginning because we keep reviewing the beginning. But we'll see why that's important later. In our form, we're starting from Tai Chi Harmony. Well, we can start from a traditional Chinese martial arts posture, this kind of sidestepping. This opening move is the same, though. Whether we originate from Tai Chi Harmony or whether we originate from a sort of traditional stance, this opening is the same everywhere. It's the same for Yang style, Chen style, Wu style, Sun style, and it will be the same as it goes on. So, opening to the side, shoulder width wide. In this form, we use your own body as geometry. So the shoulder width wide, the shoulders can go between the feet. They can go to the center line or outside. Meaning, if they go to the outside here, it's a more narrow form. But if I put my shoulders to the inside here, it's going to be a deeper, more dynamic form. So using your body as the alignment, we're standing on one foot, open, shoulder width wide. The toe goes first to the heel. And then the feet, hips, everything, this is parallel. The hands floating. They come up and out. And then sinking. So there's a bit of expansion in the body. And then there's a change. The hands float again, and now the tailbone is sinking. And we end up in our ready stance. So this is, in this form, this is called posture number 0, Tai Chi Chi Shi, the start of Tai Chi. So whether you start from Chinese military style stance, or whether you start from Tai Chi and Harmony, the stance is the same. And we're ending in a particular posture. So the end for this posture, with feet shoulder width wide, my tailbone is sunk. We have this folding of the inside of the hips here, so that this can be expanded and relaxed, almost as if we're sitting right on the edge of something. And that shape, the rounded shape, like an arch here in the center, if we activate those muscles in the center, we can hold this horse stance for a long time by building the correct. How many know if I said keystone, right? I came from Pennsylvania. It's called the Keystone State, which is even weirder yet. But study a keystone at the top of the keystone, at the top of the arch. We have this arch shape, and then the tailbone, the glutes, as if they're just resting on the edge of a chair, on the edge of a bench. Flat surface. And then from the spine is going up, and we have the same idea from Tai Chi Harmony. The chin is tucked, shoulders are relaxed, And the arms forming this round circle. So like you're holding something. And you should feel it's expansive. We did some Qigong in this class one time where we talked about imagine holding water. In the water, you feel the pressure expanding against the inside of this circle this way. But because we're doing Kung Fu, because we're doing Tai Chi and not Qigong, we want to have the hands slightly changed. They can be facing together this way. We can consider that defensive. Some people also practicing with the palms going forward this way. And so either way, one of the nicknames TC's students used to refer to this as the bear, or the Kung Fu panda, right? Is the idea of the bear standing on his rear legs. We're going to see a lot of animal shapes in this form for new people. So bears have strong legs, and they have a strong back. So it's round, the chest is hollow, we have this round shape. And we can turn anywhere. We can turn 180 degrees, and we're balanced, and it's a stable posture. This is zero, Tai Chi, Chi Chi. You can refine all of these by adding Tai Chi ideas. Are you activating your toes? Pull your heel forward. Relax the knees, relax the calves. Feel the Chi behind your leg. If you can relax your legs in the correct structure, you feel the support from the Chi. Relax your tailbone. The center is active. Breathing deep, head top up, chin is tucked, tongue is connected to the roof of the mouth. And the movement, take a break for a second, relax. The movement does not start internally with us. We're waiting in this is a considered ready stance, right? Tai Chi, Chi Chi in the Mandarin. Chi Chi means like starting or ready stance, something like this, like initiating pose. So start thing, right? Tai Chi start thing is here. The power coming from the outside is what actually motivates us. So when we have the right mind, when we have the right posture, there's nothing internally that can disturb us. Only something from the outside can come to disrupt the balance. And from that idea, when we open Tai Chi Chi Chi, when we start, the power that's coming from the outside, that's coming to our center, we don't want to lose the balance. We can keep the balance all the way through the form. Because the goal for Tai Chi is self-defense. This is Kung Fu is a byproduct, the same way balance is a byproduct. We want to learn how to defend ourselves. And the very primary way to defend ourselves is to prevent other people, other things, places and things from disrupting our mind. So if we go from Tai Chi harmony when we're standing, right, if you allow your feet to touch. By the way, the feet touching in Tai Chi harmony, they can be anywhere from parallel all the way out to 45 degrees. More than 45 degrees is too much. So somewhere where it feels comfortable for the energy to move inside the body. The hands are connected. We know, we've talked about the calibration. We fix the top, the middle, and the bottom to make it easy. And then when we open shoulder width wide, it's expanding, sinking and expanding again to Tai Chi Chi Chi. This gets into more Tai Chi theory. We said there's moving applications, there's moving principles, ideas. They're not static. And so the first one is while we're standing here, we don't take any activity, right? Without something to change, there's no reason to change anything. So we're waiting until the power is coming to us. And so if I'm standing here and nothing's happening, I can just continue to remain in my Zen state until the situation arises. And when power is coming to us, when something is coming towards us, it may be coming from anywhere. If I can move, if the power is coming directly towards me, and I can move just a bit, and the power goes past, and I can return back to my Zen state, then I haven't had to really do very much. I've had to do the least amount of effort as possible. So the moving principles avoid make contact and advance. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, and we talked about a slightly more complex topic, including ting, listening power. We have a meditative power that drives these. But for now, it's instinctual, and it's driven, if we don't have the meditative power, the dantian is naturally a sensor on its own. So it's the same reason you can avoid something without even thinking about it. Your body is aware of how that works, right? When you have a low-hanging thing, but because you're used to it, you know, oh, in this space, I need to avoid so I don't run into it. Same thing, when we're here, we have hua, na, and da, avoid, make contact, and advance. These principles apply to every Tai Chi posture. So you can ask yourself, do I know what this posture means? Whether you're a beginner, whether you're a master, you can examine each posture in a way that will help you expand it more. By knowing sort of what the rules are, they allow you to expand the game itself, the practice itself. So when we avoid, we make contact, and we advance. We can find that in every posture. Or you can connect series of postures. What I'm doing is connecting in this one what we're referring to as grasp the sparrow's tail and ward off. Those are two. But if power is coming to my center, I can hua, na, and da just from grasp the sparrow's tail. The first one, I don't have to add the word off. We can combine that. So this form starts like every other form in a very vertical posture, and we open to the side. And the next two postures that we do they never appear in the form again. I renamed something kind of interesting in the third section. After we have the fourth, J lady threading the shuttle, I'm referring to this as grasp the sparrow's tail. TC's in the written form is just called press down. But it has the same function. Yeah, by the way, for new people and for people that have been practicing it, like if you have questions, you can just blurt it out. You don't have to wait for a break or for me to ask. So, but I call this grasp the sparrow's tail instead of press down because it has the same sort of function. But if we just stand shoulder width wide and we have our hands here and we just turn in two circles. So try to keep your elbows in place, and they're not completely relaxed. They're expanded as if we're holding this shape, and then we're turning. So as if your elbows are in a geostationary position off of the corner of your ribs, right? They're locked right to this position, and it's a little bit forward, and it's a little bit out to the side, right? So it's like we're holding the ball, and then we lock those elbows into place, and then it's turning around that pivot, right? And so this is a basic, like you're turning the forearms. You can turn them at the same time, you can change directions. But in this form, we're starting from the inside out, so it goes from my center outwards. Change directions, do some turning inwards. So, like your elbows are a locked pivot point in space, right? Try not to let them cave in this way, right? There are some martial arts where it's favorable to have the elbows on the inside, and we have this kind of jutting power, right? Turning this way. But in this one, we want the elbows out. You can almost think of them as raising them higher. Like, imagine like in the 80s they have breakdancing, and they have one called the scarecrow, right? So like your shoulders and your elbows are on the thing, right? And you're doing this. But instead, relax your shoulders, right? We're not trying to be breakdancers. They don't call it that anymore anyway. That's a sign that I'm an old person because I call it breakdancing, right? Breakdancer is a b-boy. everybody's doing it incorrectly. Let's see if I can get another way to do this one. If you just put your arm out in front of you, right, and you lock your elbow, just turn half this way, just like 90 degrees, like a windshield wiper. And then see how far you can let it turn. By the way, we're not leading with the wrist. A lot of times we have exercises where the hand is trying to do the driving. Just keep a paddle hand for these, right? So that's better. Everyone actually looks like they're doing it better. And so now turn the whole circle. So if we just have this on each side, just turning from the front down, you have to turn the shoulder, and then you have to turn the whole arm. So find and I'm turning these in. This is kind of like a fan blade turning out. They can turn at the same time going out, turn at the same time going in, offset. Can they go both in the same direction? Opposite direction, right? But here, the first two postures we have grasp the sparrow's tail, right and left. And they don't appear anywhere else in the form. The reason is because these actually are extensions into rolling hands. If you do grasp the sparrow's tail left and right, and let's say there's another experienced student, Aaron studied with TC for many years. Charlotte has been studying this style for a number of years. Mark has been studying. If we're doing this, if two practitioners doing this movement here, and then walking towards each other, at some point their arms are going to connect like cogs, like a gear, right, like this. And so this is the basis for rolling hands. So for any of you that have studied Tai Chi for some time, you get introduced to a concept called Tuiso, which is push hands. And the very basic push hands exercise, this is when we get back together in person, when we meet as a group, we will practice a lot more demonstration and a lot more application of forms. The very first push hands exercise is a turning from the wrist this way, single-handed. And then we move to double-handed. And then it's a fixed step. And then we change it to a one-step. And then we change it to a two-step. And then it's a free-moving one. And then we have something else, rolling hands, which is the same thing. We can take a once, we can be fixed step, moving step. This form starts people getting into the concept of rolling hands right away. So we're going to review the very beginning of this form. I'm going to face the other direction and slightly to an angle. If you're new, just hang in there. Bring the head top up. Relax the tailbone. Activate your toes. Breathing. Bring your hands together in the center. And then calibrate. Make your center line from below your position on wherever you're located right now, all the way down to the center of the earth, like a laser line, connecting to your feet, connecting to the base of your torso, through your center line, and out through the top of your head, and extending all the way to the center of the universe. And then make the focus of that laser more narrow, so that you can relax your tailbone more, extend your spine more. And then breathing deep, relax your arms. We're going to step shoulder width wide. Sinking as we expand, expanding as we relax, and then combining relaxation and expansion. Take a deep breath. We're drawing the circle on the right side to catch, and then stepping forward on the left side to ward off. Breathing deep, the left hand drawing a circle on the left side. Right hand comes in underneath, stepping forward. Ward off. Let's practice that. I will mirror what you're doing. So we started Tai Chi Harmony. The same thing. This is a calibration. You can, by the way, you can use this for standing meditation. For those of you studying the Shingi class, they have a standing meditation. Looks something like this. You can use this. You can use a wall to assist. When you line yourself up, you can make sure that your body is straight. Don't force the arch in your neck. When we say the neck is straight, that means it's vertical. It doesn't mean we're trying to flatten the vertebrae against the wall this way. There's a natural cervical arch here, and then the same thing, lumbar arch here. We can push the back flat against the wall and keep the vertebrae smashed up against it, but we want to respect those natural arches. All right, let's go again. This time I'm mirroring what you're doing. So breathing deep. So we have these two arms turning to end up like a catch on this side, and then step forward, ward off. And then now the same, this hand grasps the sparrow's tail, the other hand comes in underneath. We step forward into the square shape and ward off. Easier to follow if we mirror, right? We'll do a couple of them where we're just going to walk towards the camera doing grasp the sparrow's tail and ward off. If I start back here, line everything up, take a deep breath, relax. It's on autopilot. Open shoulder width wide. And then from happy bear, we're going to turn both arms for grasp the sparrow's tail. Step forward into the square, ward off, left. Breathing. This is left, grasp the sparrow's tail. Grip your foot, control the step, square shape, ward off. We're going to keep going. Now, right, grasp the sparrow's tail. I'm opening my foot and turning at the same time to catch, grasp the sparrow's tail. This foot stepping square, lining the foot up. And now you'll see as I start to ward off, I'm going to turn my toe in to line it up with the grid. Shift back, left, grasp the sparrow's tail. I'm opening my foot as I go to step. And now when I step forward square, I don't know if you can see my rear foot, but I'm straightening that to ward off. Let's do that at least one more time. So if I'm in the center, and then calibrate. Get your mind used to auto-adjusting when it's in this position to achieving the best structure. And then open your left foot, shoulder width wide, toe, heel, and then sink. Make the hips, knees, and ankles are all level. And then breathing deep, right, grasp the sparrow's tail. Stepping square, left ward off. Breathing deep, right, grasp the sparrow's tail. Grip the ground, step forward, square, left, ward off. Shift back, still facing forward. Grasp the sparrow's tail, like you're holding the ball, and then when you step forward, you're inverting the ball and expanding it. And then the same thing, like power is coming to the center, and we want to catch and ward off. Before we continue, anyone have questions, comments? This is the most basic. And by the way, for the application for this one, for grasp the sparrow's tail, is kind of easy to demonstrate. If you have take your left hand, and you're punching your left hand at your center, at your stomach, like you're going to punch yourself in the stomach. The idea for the moving principles, avoid, make contact in advance, is this. If my hand is going towards my dantian, towards my belly button, my stomach here, right? If I can move just enough and the power goes past, then I can return back to my relaxed state without having done any work. All I've had to do is move. But if the power is coming towards my center and I move, and the power, instead of going past, ends up changing direction to find where I'm at, right? If the power is coming towards me, then if I continue to move again, that's called running away. Like, we can only do so many avoids, right? Maybe 3 avoids before we're actually running from the problem. So at some point, we have to determine when. We may take a few avoids, right? You may take an avoid every time you have that one neighbor you don't like to see. So when you see their car, when you hear them, you go the other way, right? When you have to go to work and the boss is there, if you can avoid them, you may dodge out a couple of times during the day. You can still get all your work done without having to deal with the difficulty. So the same idea, if it changes directions, if it comes to us and says, who's responsible for this work that needs done, right? Then we have to make contact and find out what it is. And we have avoid, the hands are here. We're moving them out of the way, getting them ready. And the next thing we do, if it follows, is getting something between us and the power. And so when the power is coming, this, like a fan that's spinning on this point, right? It can knock something away, or if these are soft, it can wrap around it. And so then we have contact. Whether we choose to knock it away and bounce it off to the corner with the grasp, the sparrow's tail, or we choose to wrap and control it. Either way. But we can determine that right away from the type of power that's being issued. We may not need to avoid make contact. If the person is shooting a gun, we don't need to avoid and see what kind of power it is. We know it's a gun, it's dangerous, get out of there, right? Same thing with other type of weapon. But if it's a punch, or if it's something that's non-physical, somebody's words or whatever, we have to then make a contact to find out, okay, what is it really about? And then imagine somebody throws a paper plane at you. You may just make contact, and suddenly you can go back to relaxing. There's no need for but if it's a stick, if somebody is throwing a stick or hitting you with a stick, you may need to do something more. So once you make contact, the next one is to advance. And it's a simple process. This also, by the way, for those of you that like martial arts, enjoy the boxing arts and self-defense, this is something that separates Tai Chi from other martial arts. Some martial arts style, when you're boxing, the concept is win right away. Immediately go for the kill. But Tai Chi is a gentleman's boxing art, right? It's considered to be more enlightened. We don't need to break the opponent's nose right away. They may be able to learn the lesson in 3 simple movements. If we can avoid and make contact, we may not need to make a full advance. Once they see they're in a weak position and that we're in a powerful position, then they may have an enlightenment moment. By the way, some people ask me, they say, how does a Taoist, Buddhist, these Chinese martial arts dealing with peace and Zen, how does that have to do with breaking somebody's nose? The Shaolin Buddhism says that we operate like a mirror. So when the opponent is coming to us with a lot of violent power, we're allowed to play their game. We're allowed to defend ourselves in a way that may cause disruption to the opponent. And the idea behind that is that in the wrong circumstances, it's considered that this type of violent motion can be an expedient to enlightenment. So it's very rare, but we do study to be able to defend ourselves. Let's continue. We have just a few minutes left. Before we do, questions, thoughts, comments. I know for the experienced people, this is probably a very boring class. We're going to come back. Let's do the first movements up to hook and whip, because these 8 movements repeat 8 times throughout the forms. They're the basis for sort of this one. I'm going to start facing north, so just try to follow along. Find a place that is your center and bring your head top up to the highest point. Relax your tailbone, relax your shoulders. Bring the hands together in the center. Opening shoulder width wide. Expand and sink. And then breathing deep. This is grasp left ward off. Breathing. Left grasp the sparrow's tail. Right step. Right ward off. Keep your center line straight, turning 90 degrees. This is roll back. Join the palms together. G, press. Push. Zobu, look left. Yo, pan, glance right. Shuang han, double press. Horizontal, split hands. The owl shows hook. Square step forward, han dampian, single whip. And then relax. Let's do that just twice more. I'm going to sort of change directions a little bit so that you can see the postures. We'll line everything up to the grid later. If you're experienced, just consider this an opportunity to revisit the basics, but with better alignment, better posture, better principles, better ideas, a better memory, a better understanding. Relax your tailbone. Breathing deep. This is right grasp the sparrow's tail. Geometric step forward, ward off. Breathing deep, left grasp the sparrow's tail. Step square, ward off. Roll back. Join the palms together. This is press. Push. Look left. Glance right. Shuang an is double press. Horizontal split hands. Hook. Single whip. And then from here, just bring your feet together. Take a deep breath. I think it's time. So we'll practice more Tai Chi later. If you have questions, we're going to close with a little bit of Qigong, the same way that we started. And for Rad and anybody else that's newer, we're going to, in this class, do the Tai Chi form. So we're going to change between looking at very basic postures and spending a lot of time doing the form. So just be prepared in the future to be patient with that. Meanwhile, activate your feet, make them shoulder width wide. We're going to, starting with one hand, reaching up and over, turning around and coming back to the center. And now on this side, going around, up, and over, under, and forward. Keep working. This exercise, by the way, if I face, I can mirror you because they go on both sides. So like you're holding something in your palm. This exercise, sometimes referred to as the teacup exercise, because you would hold a teacup filled with water or tea, and the idea is to keep it level while you make these two circles and come back to the center. So you should feel it in your forearms. This is a Chansi exercise. This is a good way. Well, we started with this morning talking about the feeling in the forearms, if you're doing it correctly. I'm just shifting left and right, keeping the center line upright. Long breathing, the same breathing that we started with. Try not to adjust your posture. There may be some forms we have using the staff where we change this way, but for this one, try to keep the hand level so that we're just turning around the center and using the correct open shoulder, elbow, wrist, and connection to the center rib cage here to keep the hand level. So technically the spine is just doing this, it's just turning around the center, and the hand following, something like that. Should we doing that? Do I need to slow down? Yeah? Okay. I think it's time. Let's actually close. Bring your feet together. Bring your hands together in the center. Calibrate one last time. Fix the top the middle, and the bottom. And then you can close your eyes part way, not all the way, and move your mind into your dantian, as if you can see straight through your body to your center. And then take a second internally to smile to yourself, and then also internally to give thanks to yourself. You have a mind, a body, energy capable of changing, which means you can improve. And that's something to be grateful for. So smiling, breathing, giving thanks to yourself in the center. Move where you think your mind is now from your dantian all the way up into the center of your brain, in the third eye chakra, in the center of the forehead. And the same thing, you can tilt your eyes together, turn them up, looking up into the center of the brain. Breathing, smiling to your brain. You have an extraordinary brain capable of learning to control your body in a new way, something complex. So take a deep breath. Take a second to give thanks to and for your brain. And then when you open your eyes, take another long, deep breath. Check to see that you have at least a half smile. And that's it. We're past time, so if you have questions, feel free to call, email.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. We didn't do any Tai Chi in that class. I was busy talking.